I'm honestly pretty surprised about this one. So, the St. Louis Blues have just claimed Kasperi Kapanen off of waivers, which is a really good thing for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, there is an entire conversation to have about the Penguins management and how they fumbled the bag with their bottom six, with their middle six, with Jared McCann, with a few other guys. We can talk about that in another video. But long story short, the Penguins prioritizing Kasperi Kapanen the past few years has been somewhat of a mistake. And the reason for that is because Kasperi Kapanen this season is a $3.2 million AAV winger at 26 years old that expires at the end of next season. And he's only got 20 points in 43 games played. Now you could say, alright, half a point a game, the production is there, what are you talking about, Lego? But the thing is, Kasperi Kapanen and his overall gameplay has been so lackluster and disappointing the past little while that seeing him get placed on waivers because he's just not living up to that dollar amount was something that a lot of people said, alright, well, he's probably gonna clear, right? No one's gonna take a flyer on him, he's been pretty bad. Well, the St. Louis Blues took a flyer on him, and now he's heading over to this team. Take a look at what Mike Sullivan said yesterday when Kapanen was placed onto waivers in the first place. Heck, he informed me before practice that he was held out because he was going on waivers here this afternoon. When a team doesn't live up to expectations, change is inevitable. That's a part of it. Cappy is a really talented player. To a certain extent, it's on all of us because we didn't find a way to maximize his potential. And that's sort of the thing. Sullivan was always super high on Kasperi Kapanen. I remember there were the comments that he made last year or 2 years ago or something, where he said that Kapanen could be one of the more talented players in the entire NHL. He just had to find a way to piece the puzzle together and unlock that. Well, it turns out the Penguins ended up giving up on that experiment yesterday because they placed him on waivers and he has gotten claimed by the St. Louis Blues. This is a Blues team that has just faced a little bit of turmoil after that overtime loss against the Vancouver Canucks, wherein head coach Craig Berube said that a lot of their star players are playing without heart and they're really not playing up to their dollar amounts either, and Robert Thomas went out there, had some words to combat that sentiment from head coach Craig Berube. It was really interesting to see that go down because a lot of their star players had gotten traded recently. But Kasperi Kapanen is finding himself a new home in St. Louis where hopefully he'll be able to actually piece things together and make it work. To end off this video, what I wanted to do was go over to the comment section on Reddit on our hockey, just talking about when Kapanen was placed onto waivers in the first place, talking about what some Leafs fans had to say about this, what some Penguins fans had to say about this. The ones with a lot of upvotes are the ones that usually go out there and spell somewhat of a truth, and what I wanted to do was focus on what Kapanen has become, just kind of articulating where things have gone with this player and what happened. The first comment from I Survived the Virus says, "Oof, how he has fallen. I remember really wanting Edmonton to trade for him because of his speed." Some hockey fan replies saying, "Yeah, Kapanen's speed is real. Everything else is utter garbage. There's no redeeming quality about his game other than his speed." Shoved Top Cheese says, "People talk about his speed, but he's almost never on breakaways and he's almost never fast enough to actually beat defense around the outside. Part of it is that he seems to be allergic to driving to the front of the net, but the other part of it is that he's not actually moving fast enough to turn the corner and get around a defender. He's faster than average maybe, but he isn't fast enough to be disruptive or a real breakaway threat." Nkio7 says, "So when he realizes that he can't turn a corner, he slams on the brakes and falls. Or he slams on the brakes and blindly throws it into the middle to start the other team on a breakout. Or he tries to turn around the corner and gets poked off his stick because he doesn't know how to use his fairly large size to protect the puck. His speed is good, but the guy lacks game sense and IQ like crazy. Sometimes when looking at him on the ice, I feel like watching a brain dead try." Okay, that's a really harsh comment. Then there are a few other things here talking about how Andreas Johnsson and Kasperi Kapanen used to be the future of the Leafs' middle six, potentially borderline top six guys. And it was really interesting noting that that used to be the case here. When Kapanen was drafted back in 2014, he was seen as a super high value pickup in the end of the first round because he was fast and he was playing in the Finnish Liga already. And when he made his debut with the Maple Leafs, it took him a few seasons worth of time before he was a 40-point guy with the regular squad. He had 20 goals, 24 assists in 78 games played in 2018-19, but he never really grew past that. And when you're playing with Malkin and Crosby on a Pittsburgh team that's really giving you opportunities, like we had seen Sullivan rave about Kasperi Kapanen over the years, It's just unfortunate to see that even though the numbers may not be too terrible, like, as we said, half a point a game is not bad. It's just when you watch this guy, you start to realize that there really isn't all too much there behind his footwork. Sure, he can get some assists here and there, sure, he can score some goals, but just the overall magnitude of how good he is at doing that does not justify keeping a 3.2 AAV salary on your team, especially when you have yourselves a Penguin squad that has been struggling the ways that it has been the past little while here. This is the guy that is being the scapegoat at the moment, and now he is no longer a Penguin. He is going over to St. Louis, where hopefully he'll be able to revive his career alongside of names like Pavel Buchnevich and Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, other guys who have been quote-unquote not stepping up and not playing well, according to the head coach. But either way, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What happened to Kasperi Kapanen? What happened to this guy and his overall playing career? What are your thoughts about him getting claimed by the St. Louis Blues? I personally want to see this guy succeed. I mean, he's only 26 years old. It's not an absolute end-of-the-world scenario for a 26-year-old to go out there and be done at the NHL level. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm seeing a lot of Penguins fans who are super happy about this because $3.2 million coming off of their payroll for the next 2 seasons is a pretty significant amount of money. For St. Louis Blues fans, I'm looking at your subreddit seeing a lot of guys talking about how they're sort of mixed on this. Oh, why did we claim this guy? Oh, at least he's going to help us out. I'd been scrolling through a lot of NHL team fan subreddits the past, let's say 24 hours-ish, just to take a look at what the growing sentiment is around this waiver claim, because, you know, anytime somebody gets placed on waivers, there's a whole bunch of conversation on other team subreddits saying, hey, should we claim this guy? And a whole bunch of the teams that are capped out, at least, have all said sort of the same thing. Hey, we don't need this guy. We already have way too many bottom 6 players that don't score. We don't need to add another one. And it's kind of funny because even on the Edmonton subreddit, they're like, yeah, no, we don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. We're capped out. We're good. Sure, McDavid and Kapanen, their speed maximizing itself together is an idea that works in theory, but when was the last time that actually worked in practice? Everybody says that McDavid needs a speedy winger, but like, didn't really work out with Andreas Athanasiou, now didn't it? So probably best to stay away from this situation with the Kasperi Kapanen experiment. But now, St. Louis fans, I'm seeing a few of you that are saying, okay, why? But then there are others that are saying, okay, why not? The team is really bad, so is there really all too much of an incentive to not do this? It's just interesting that the waiver claim comes at this point in time because there's a whole bunch of other rumors going around out there, man. But either way, thoughts in the comment section below about Kasperi Kapanen. He was a really good player for the Leafs bottom 6, a little bit overpaid to be in the bottom 6, but he hasn't really put it together in the top 6 or the middle 6 of the Pittsburgh Penguins either, so middle ground here, who really knows? We'll see what happens in St. Louis as his career goes on for the next calendar year. Thoughts in the comment section below about Kasperi Kapanen getting claimed by the Blues. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.